Republicans tend to racialize poverty. Democrats tend to run for poverty. We must deal with the reality of poverty. We can talk about everything else, but we have to deal with the reality of poverty. And we not only want to debate, we have put forward a moral poverty justice budget. There's no scarcity of money. We know how to find the money. We know what happens if we invest in living wages and health care and education. And we know that we can challenge the fact that we spend 53 cents of every discretionary dollar on defense and less than 15 cents of every discretionary dollar on health care and education and things that would uplift society, which is why, lastly, Amy, we are on a tour called the We Must Do More, mobilizing, organizing, registering, educating people for the movement to vote. And we're going to have on June 20th, 2020, a mass Poor People's Assembly and Moral March on Washington. Thousands of people are coming, poor and impacted people, moral leaders, right after the primaries, just before the convention, because we must change the moral narrative in this nation and deal with this issue that is affecting 43%, almost 50% of this nation's population. This is serious business. 30 million people without health care. We're talking about people who are dying because of government policies, not because God has called them home. And what we are saying is you can't just have a question about poverty or say you're going to address one area. You have to look at the interlocking injustices, systemic racism like voter suppression and mistreatment of immigrants, mistreatment of Native people, and systemic poverty and ecological devastation, the war economy and militarism, and this false moral narrative of religious nationalism that suggests that tries to moralize poverty and say, well, if people would just do better and live better, and churches and mosques and synagogues can take care of the issue. No, this is a American moral crisis. And so how is it that we are not discussing this issue and demanding that? We have put together, as I said, a budget. We've done an audit of America. We need a full conversation, not just one. We're saying we ought to have at least one. We're putting together an omnibus bill to put before the Congress. And last night, one of the reporters asked us, night before last, well, how long would it take to fix this? Well, it didn't take long to give $2 trillion of tax cuts to the wealthy. It doesn't take long for us to bail out companies where the leadership failed because of their own corruption. But when it comes to the poor, suddenly we want to slow down. On the other night, we had a white farmer from Kansas talks about how farmers are still having to purify their own water. We had a poor Navy veteran who's a trans sister now, Sophia, kicked out of the Navy, living in poverty. We had people who work for less than living wages who live in their cars and work every day. This is a travesty in America, and that's why we're not going to be silent anymore. That's why people are rising up.